Okay, everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm just gonna get straight into it because it's a lot. So, this is 7 signs you're being conditioned to take the mark of the beast. So, the first one is credit cards. So, I don't know if anyone remembers, but when we first started having credit cards and you were able to swipe it just really easily in the machine, and then all of a sudden they started slowly replacing the credit cards with chips in them. And this caused a lot of like conflicts, if you realize. Like some people were for it and some people were very, very against it because they're changing the system. Soon they're going to get rid of credit cards altogether. And the way they introduced the chip was like, oh, well, this system with the chip makes the credit card so much safer. It causes less identification theft, so that way when you swipe your card in the store, thieves can't come and take your information away. And this, when you have this idea implanted in you, you're like, okay, so like every time you insert the chip in the machine, then you're thinking, well, it's safer, it's safer. And that is how they implanted that one in the first place. And the second thing was when they started chipping animals, and they were talking about maybe chipping newborn babies. And some people were not for this at all because they thought it was very inhumane to chip a newborn baby. But people were very for the animals because, like they said, well, if you chip your animals and if they run away, run out of the house, then it will be safer. You'll be able to find them much easier. And people were very for this. So already they implanted one, the chip was much safer to use in the store, and two, if someone or something was lost, you can easily find it. So already they're making it seem like, okay, this is good. So the third thing, and this is something that the Holy Spirit was revealing to me, was the Fitbit. So as you guys know, the Fitbit is more like it can monitor how you sleep. It can even monitor your REM sleep, which is the deepest layer of sleep you can have when you're dreaming. And it can monitor your nutrition, your diet, your exercise. And when this came out, everyone was like, oh man, like this is great because now I can monitor everything. And you guys, like, yes, this is much better, but think about it in terms of a spiritual kingdom aspect. It is literally recording your entire body. And where do you think that information is going to? Where do you think that information is being sent to? You know? So that's just like, keep in mind on that. And the next thing I wanted to point out was wearing a mask. Now, I know this is going to cause a lot of drama by me saying this because some people are saying, like, well, the mask is for our protection. Like, don't tell me anything about it. Okay, I'm not going to tell you anything about it. But for those who want to listen, then listen. So, I believe the virus is real, yes. I've seen people who I loved end up in the hospital and they've almost died because of the virus. So I'm not saying like the virus is fake, nothing like that. However, if you're noticing how they're handling it, that's what I'm going to say about it. Are the masks good for protection? Sure, yes, it is. But let's think of it like this. When the economy first shut down, what was everyone's first response? Fear, literally panicking. No one knew what to do. People were moving out of the country. Some people moved back to like Asia and whatnot. And everyone was just, they didn't know what to do. And as soon as the government came back and said, okay, this is what we're going to do, no one fought it, obviously, because people were dying. And it's just like all of a sudden this happened and we didn't expect it. So the first thing they said was, okay, we're going to have masks. Everyone has to wear masks. And you notice wearing masks was optional because if they said that wearing masks is mandatory, everyone would be like, no. So they said that wearing masks was optional, and that happened for a little bit. And once everyone started getting used to the idea of seeing other people in masks in public, then they decided to make wearing masks mandatory. Sorry, there's a lot of noise here. But yes, then they started to make wearing masks mandatory. So you guys, think about this for a second. We went from having masks that are optional to wearing masks is mandatory now. And some of you say, well, it's because the virus got worse. Yes. Okay, I agree with you. The virus did get worse. But just open up your eyes here. Just take a step back. Don't be so, stuck in your ways. I'm not trying to be mean to anyone. I'm just speaking the truth. And just look at it from that perspective. It's like, okay. So now the next thing now is now that we have the mandatory mask, they're saying no mask, no service. And you say, well, it's because they're trying to keep it healthy. Well, yeah, okay, they're trying to keep it healthy. But also think about how everything from what I just said up to now is leading up to it, you know? So if it says no mask, no service, one day it will say, if you don't have the mark of the beast, there's going to be no service. You can't live in the society. You're going to be kicked out. I know this might be extreme for some people here watching it, but it's just something that the Holy Spirit wanted me to say. So, next thing now, coin shortages. If you notice, if you go to the stores now, it says, okay, we're not going to give back any coins. And slowly, you guys, if they took away money right away, everyone would freak out, right? But if you start taking away pennies, nickels, dimes, just the coins that no one really cares about, then you'd be like, okay, well, it's because of the virus, right? Okay. So eventually now they're going to start saying, well, we're not going to have any like $1 bills anymore. And there's going to be no coins completely. And then soon there'll be no dollar bills. And eventually they'll get rid of money altogether. And it's the same way how they brought in how before we weren't wearing any mask and now we're wearing a mask, right? And so my next point I want to say is if you notice a lot more credit cards and identity theft is happening right now. Like they said, well, the chip in the card will make it safer. And that was our idea, right? But now we're starting to have credit card identity theft stolen more, actually. And lastly, and this might make some people mad, some people know this already, but I'll just say it. There is the RIDF chip already out. And this was already being used in Sweden. Think of it as a test run, and they're making it optional, right? So some employers have already chipped their employees and they've said, well, this is just trying to see if this is going to be safer, right? And they've inserted it in their hand and they said, well, if you don't have it chipped, then you can't come to work. And this is not everywhere in the world. Like I said, I know Sweden is practicing this, like because again, it's optional, right? But one day it'll be mandatory, like everything else. The credit cards now mandatory, all have chips in them. And the mask mandatory. Now we all have to wear them. So you guys, there's one last thing. This has to do in terms of the end times, but think about this. If we were here on the earth, right, and you heard like, okay, there's so much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, now we can't live here anymore. We have to move to Mars. What would you think, right? Wouldn't you say, well, okay, well, this is the end. Like, we're really close to the end because how else are we going to live on Mars, right? And has there ever been any other time in history besides the first time with the dinosaurs where they said, okay, we have to leave Earth because it's going to burn up? Like, you guys, let's really like think about this for a second. We are literally living in Revelation. We're seeing all this unfold. And we need to open our eyes, guys. And lastly, my last point, because God wanted me to share this, and it's Revelation 13, verse 16. And it says, He causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their forehead, on their right hand or on their foreheads, and that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. In verse 18, this is where it really caught my attention. Here is wisdom. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. His number is 666. And guys, based on these verses, I just want to say a few things. First of all, some people are thinking, okay, why would you have the mark on your forehead? Well, not everyone has a right hand. First of all, some people lost it, so where else would it go? Obviously not their foot. And over here in verse 18, where it says, let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast. Guys, it says calculate, which means it's not going to physically be a sign that says, like, 666. It's going to be something calculated in something, right? And so, let's use wisdom and understanding here. There's already an engineer who's been working on the chip for 30 years. And he literally said that God told him that this was the mark of the beast because he was describing that in his calculation, he had to do 6 times 6 times 6, and that's how it was designed. And if you guys don't believe me, go ahead and search him up for yourself. It's all over the internet. Um, but yeah, this was just something the Holy Spirit really wanted me to share. If you have problems with it, I'm sorry, but please change your mindset, open up your eyes. Remember, Lord loves you, and stay faithful.